19 for 28, 285, 4 touchdowns. 3 of them to A.J. Brown, who was out of this world today. And welcome back to the Lehocky Eagles post-game show. The Eagles win today 35-13. Ho-hum. They are now 17-0. We're doing the show, obviously, live from the UFC Casino. I'm Mike Missinelli. This is Derek Gunn, and that is Seth Joyner. Look at this beautiful place. Everybody watching football behind us and placing their bets. I took the Raiders today because I'm an idiot, and my bet did not come through. And just for full disclosure here, the last time you watched this show was before the bye, and Seth and I had a little thing going where I predicted that the Jaguars were going to beat the Giants. And I'm man enough to admit that I was wrong on that. The Giants came back to win that game.
Well, thank you for admitting it. I forgot.
Yeah, I know you had forgotten all about that. I figured I would bring it back up. John McMullen, who covered the game for JAKIB Sports, will join us in a little bit. But let's just re-rack some of the things that we saw in this game. I don't think we've talked enough about Jalen Hurts. 19 for 28, 285, 4 touchdowns. 3 of them to A.J. Brown, who was out of this world today. A.J. Brown with 6 receptions for 156, 3 TDs, 43 with the long. They got big chunk plays early on. In fact, they didn't have to take a snap in the red zone until their 4th touchdown, and they wound up scoring on that play rather easily. And the same script has been followed. The Eagles just pounce on you early, and then they go, don't beat us with a big play, and we'll allow you these little dink dunks, and you'll get some yards. At the end of the day, the quarterback will look like he had a good game. And in this case, it was Kenny Pickett, and we'll talk about him in a bit. But they're sailing along. So, guys, I mean, I don't know. What's your impression as we sit right now? We haven't had any kind of sway on the Eagles being in trouble, and we question whether they're good enough.
Oh, no, I don't question if they're good enough. When you look at the state of the NFC right now and look at how mediocre the NFC is, Minnesota has bounced back from that butt whipping they took from the Eagles, and they're sitting at 6-1 right now. Dallas at 5-2, the Giants are 6-1. But I don't know if those teams are a match for the Eagles. I think they'll be competitive. We already saw how lopsided it was earlier in the season against Minnesota. Now, obviously, Minnesota has made the necessary adjustments and gone on a roll as of late. But I love how this Eagles team, even when they're average, they're still better than the teams that they're playing against. They don't have to be consistent every play, but they lead the NFL for a reason in terms of big plays. They are a big play offense. They are a big play defense. They are the best takeaway defense in the league. Now, we're going to sit here and debate week in and week out, as we do, the good with the bad, and even when it's extremely good, we're going to find some of the little things that they could do better. That's what they're doing behind closed doors. They look at the game film. As good as we are, we're going to find the little things that we need to do better. And there's nothing wrong with that, because as you go along, you don't want your team to become predictable and have teams pick up on your tendencies even more so. But I have no complaints with what this Eagles team has done. We were sitting there shocked that they had only run the ball 10 times in the first half. All of a sudden, they come out of the gate in the second half to get the run. Now, they finished with 20 carries, $111. That's great by a lot of team standards. That's subpar by the Eagles standards. But, Miles Sanders walks in the end zone for a touchdown on a 2-play drive. So they do what they have to do at any given moment. We have to keep giving Shane Steichen a lot of credit for being able to adjust on the fly. His play calling, for the most part, has been impeccable this season.
Listen, I think it has. Contrary to popular belief, I think a lot of people think, because we sit up here as analysts, me in particular, that I sit up here as an analyst, all I'm doing is nitpicking and bitching and complaining about, how the Eagles played, and they're 7-0. Contrary, to that thought, the team is doing fantastic. I know how hard it is to win football games in the NFL. And a lot of times it really comes down to get the W however you could get it. But that doesn't stop us from, analyzing what we see and making suggestions on things, that we believe will make the team better. So it's not really complaining. Hey, listen, I'm thrilled that the Phillies are in the World Series. I'm thrilled that the Eagles are 7-0. I hope they go 17-0 and go win the Super Bowl and knock Miami off that perch. I really do. But that's not going to stop me from analyzing, what I see. Now, the team is playing well. Okay, it'd be really hard pressed for me to find another team in the NFC right now and say that that team can really compete against the Philadelphia Eagles because they're a complete team. They can run the football when they need to. They can pass the football when they need to. You know, you got the triple threat in Jalen Hurts, I think, which really causes a lot of problems for a lot of people because not only can he operate from the pocket, but he can run the read option and take off with it with his feet. And then they've incorporated the read option and the RPO, you know, all together where he'll read, keep it, and on the run, throw the ball down the field once the defense, you know, kind of gets sucked up. So they've got every single thing when you think about their offense. They've got everything covered. Whatever it is that they need to do and wherever they need to transform, they can do that, okay? The defense is one of the top defenses in the league statistically, okay? But being a defensive guy, what do I want to see? I want to see them dominate because if they can dominate, they're going to make the game that much easier for the special teams and the offense. So when I'm talking about, you know, when we're so-called nitpicking, that's really what it's all about. You know, I
don't think you're a nitpicker.
Well, I mean, you got to get on the chat sometime. Then
chat thinks you're a nitpicker.
you got to get on my social media every once in a while.
You pay attention to a chat?
Oh, I watch it.
I think you're very cautious about the defensive part of this game. I think you're very cautious, very sensitive about
I'm not necessarily cautious about it, Mike, because the premise is exactly the same. Do what you have to do to win. Okay, but I just think a more aggressive, dominant style defensive mindset is more conducive to winning in the long run than just getting by.
You're not wrong. That's why I can't call you a nitpicker because you basically make some sense when you talk that way.
Okay.
But let's look at, here's what I see. This is the type of team that the Eagles are that I've seen now every week. All right, the Steelers, we knew they weren't going to be able to score enough points, but they did make it kind of interesting. They get a drive going. They get a field goal out of it. It's 28-13. The Eagles don't do anything in the next drive. So the Steelers get back the ball on the next drive, and what happens? Hargrave relentless, gets the strip sack. They take over at the 46. What's the first play? When they need to play, they get it. It was the big play in the middle to AJ, 43 yards over the middle, which gets them to the 11.
Yeah, and that's what I said. We need to give Shane Steichen as much credit as possible because he's sitting there and they're watching the film. They're getting all the pictures from upstairs. Right. And he says, you know what, this is where we're going right now. And again, they identify, you know, it's funny. We look at what A.J. Brown did in this game in terms of 156 yards. He only did it on 6 catches. Now, usually when a guy has 156 yards, he has 10, 11, 12 catches. He did his damage on 6 catches. Now, he did a lot of his damage in the first half, and they came back to him when he had to in that third quarter to pick up that 47-yard game, set him up at the 11, and Miles Sanders took it in for the touchdown.
Well, listen,
I think Shane Steichen has done an outstanding job in terms of reading defense.
Absolutely, but let's not minimize what Jalen Hurts is doing now.
Executing it.
Because those plays worked because Jalen Hurts either made the check at the line of scrimmage or pre-snap identified, okay, that he had man-to-man and he identified his best option to attack, his best matchup to attack. And a lot of those balls were just perfection. I mean, you couldn't ask for the elite level quarterbacks in the NFL to put that ball where he put it. I mean, we got to start giving this kid some credit.
I agree. I think we really haven't talked enough about him today because he delivered everything. So, like right now, we're going to do something we call the 2-minute drill. Little rapid-fire questions for these guys, and I'm going to start with Jalen Hurts. The question is, right now, is Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation?
Absolutely. No question about it. You look at his efficiency, his productivity. You know, before this game, people are talking about, well, you know, he hasn't thrown enough touchdown passes. Yeah, well, he ran for 6 touchdown passes, so he accounted for, 10, 11 touchdowns. He throws 4 in this game, so I think people can shut up about him not throwing enough touchdown passes. Absolutely, you have to start talking about Jalen Hurts in the MVP conversation because of his overall body of athleticism and his ability to get it done no matter what the obstacle is.
Seth, you agree?
Hey, listen, this is my take for a guy who is the quarterback of a 7-0 team. Okay, he's 123 of 184 in passing for 66% completion, 1,500 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Okay, 6 passing touchdowns, 6 running touchdowns. I didn't even touch what he's done on the ground. Okay, if you add that into it, how do you eliminate this guy from that conversation? Because he is just as much, if not the reason why this football team is 7-0 is anybody or anything else or any coach on this staff. Okay, that's how I view Jalen Hurts right now.
I absolutely agree. I think he's in the MVP conversation. All right, question number 2. I'm looking at the upcoming schedule. At Texans, the Commanders, at the Colts. The question for you guys is, how likely are they to be 10-0? More likely or less likely that they're 10-0?
Oh, definitely more likely. Absolutely more likely. I mean, we've seen what they've done. It's like feasting, on a wounded animal, And when I look at where they are right now, they put up 35 on this Pittsburgh team, and they took the starters out of the game 9 minutes left in the game. I don't see anybody on the schedule over the next several weeks that's going to come close to stopping this team in any way, shape, or form.
All right, let me take it to Seth now to the next degree, because then it's Green Bay, Tennessee, at Dallas. What's the record at that point? There's 6 games that I just gave you. It looks like they win the next 3. Then you get the 3 on top of that.
The only team that I look at on the rest of the schedule, until they get to Dallas again, that gives me any pause for concern, is the Tennessee Titans, because they can flat out run the football, and if you can't control that, you're gonna have a problem.
Now with a rookie quarterback, though.
Yeah, I get it, but Tannehill might be back, or the rookie quarterback might present a whole slew of other things, a la Jalen Hurts, what he's doing with other teams. That's the first thing. The second thing is their defense at times can be dominant, and if my memory serves me correct, I'm looking it up here, they've got to go. No, Tennessee comes here. So I mean that's an advantage, but I mean that's the only team that I look at, and I'm not saying beyond a shadow of a doubt.
It's a look-ahead game. Also.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the next game coming up? You talking about trap game already?
No, I'm just.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that Tennessee game. I don't think that Tennessee beats them at home with a rookie quarterback, but I can see where Dallas is on deck, and maybe they take it a little lightly. But I haven't seen this team capable of taking anything
again.
lightly.
I will go back and say what I reiterated, 2 weeks ago, or maybe it's 3 weeks ago because you weren't here right before the bye. The 2 teams, the 3 games that worry me the most is, okay, you got to go to Dallas on Christmas Eve. Being on the road on a holiday, focus and all that kind of stuff. And then you got to play the Giants twice in like a 3 or 4 week span. And people can say whatever they want to say about the New York Giants. Oh, they're just
I'm
the
not
Giants.
saying anything anymore.
My thing is, and I told you weeks ago, the Giants are going to be a problem, okay? They got a head coach that's got these guys believing that they can win. They got Saquon back 100% healthy. Daniel Jones looks like, at least he's beginning to look like what they thought that he would be when they drafted him. And then you got one of the best defense coordinators in Martindale in the league that's got these guys flying all over the place. And he's not the type of guy who will sit back and allow you to just take things apart. And he's very, very innovative from a game planning standpoint. So those are the 3 games. Those 3 division games are the ones that worry me the most.
Next question. We thought the Eagles were a little short with another pass rusher. They went out and they got one. Are they short at running back, and should they pursue a running back? And, of course, people are talking about the running back like an Ajayi type of acquisition being Kamara. Do they need to acquire a running back of that caliber?
I don't think they do. I think the running back situation is efficient the way it is. We know who the workhorse is in that backfield in Miles Sanders. Gainwell's going to get his touches, and as Seth and I have talked about time and time again, I don't know why they neglect Boston Scott. I love the quality back that Boston Scott is. I love his versatility. He's a good blocker. He's quick. He has a quick burst. He's strong. I think he's the strongest back that they have because you don't bring him down with just the initial tackle. I liked how they complement each other. They complemented each other well. Sometimes you can overthink a situation and make it worse instead of better. Now, I know the rumor has been out there about them looking at Kareem Hunt. Of course, if you had a Kareem Hunt to this mix, that's a whole another ballgame. He's one of the best running backs in the National Football League. But do they really need Kareem Hunt in this offense right now? I don't think so. I think they've added enough to get to where they want to go.
Well, listen, I agree with you wholeheartedly when you talk about Boston Scott. But, you know, I think one of the things that inhibits Boston Scott is a guy like Kenneth Gainwell that was probably projected as, you know, a second or a third round pick that fell to the Eagles at 5, and really what they want him to be. You know, when you spend that kind of draft capital, the thought is that guy has got to be the guy, okay? But Boston Scott, in my opinion, is just better equipped to protect and pass protection.
Right.
He can do all the things that Kenneth Gainwell, you know, can do. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of football left. There are 10 games left in this season. And Miles Sanders, for that point, has not spent an entire season healthy. I don't believe his entire, you know, previous 4 years here. So, you know, you can't wait, you know, and then realize, oh, we should have done something. If, you know, you're going to get that insurance policy, go get the insurance policy now. And the insurance policy that I've liked for the longest was Kareem Hunt. I just felt like, and we talked about it in the pregame show, Mike, I just felt like when he had his little fall from grace, they should have signed him then to a minimum deal, a 5-year minimum deal, and kind of tucked him away until, you know, you could bring him back, because you knew he was just too good of a player to not get back into the game. He's spent a year out of the game, so his body was fresh. He's splitting time, not really even splitting time. He's only getting probably about 30% of the reps, you know, and Nick Chubb is getting the other 70%. So if you go and you get that guy that can spell, you know, and he's better than Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell wrapped up in one, and he can do all the things that they do.
Well, you know, when you talk about trying to get another back, and especially a back like an Alvin Kamara or Kareem Hunt, you have to take this into consideration too. Right now, the Eagles have 2 firsts, a second, and a third. They don't have another pick now until the 7th. What kind of draft capital are you willing to give up? I'm not giving up a 3rd-round pick for Kareem Hunt, especially if you're just buying him for this season. Right. I'm not giving up a 3rd-round pick. I'm not giving up a second or 2 firsts.
All in, though, D.
Well, exactly.
You're there now.
You're there right now.
Yeah, but if they believe,
are you there now?
If they believe
AFC, we don't know yet.
If they believe that this is their window and their run, you know, then you push the chips in. If you believe that you're a year out, then you make provisions for that. You know,
yeah, you can't believe you're out.
You have
the only thing you might not know is if you're better than Buffalo or maybe Kansas City at this point.
Look,
right?
With the current running tandem that they have, they're one of the top 5 running offenses in the National Football League. So it's not like they need a running back. That running back would be another luxury. You would take it over the top. But they're one of the better running teams as it is with what they have.
Based upon who they play, you're absolutely right.
All right, quickly. I want to squeeze one in before we get to John McMullen, who obviously covered the game, was down at Lincoln Financial Field today. It's a question about Kenny Pickett. Do you think that Kenny Pickett has the talent to be a star quarterback in the NFL?
I think that, you know, every young quarterback needs – you can protect him one or 2 ways. And if you're a really good organization, you learn how to protect him both of these ways. You either protect him with a great running game, or if you require him to have to throw the ball, you protect him with a great offensive line as he grows, okay? Now, it's going to take some mental fortitude on his behalf to continue to endure not having either one. Because it's not that Najee Harris isn't a good running back. Najee Harris has to fight for every inch that he gets, and he's not getting a whole lot of inches. So then when you can't run the football, you put it, all the pressure goes on the quarterback's shoulders. Now, can he be that guy down the road? I don't think nobody really knows.
You like him, though. You think he can make the throws. He's got some mobility.
I like him, but the one thing that I do know about the NFL is that there are no sure things. There are very, very few sure things, because You can go to the combine and they can get all those metrics, and they can come and they can measure your hands and do all that kind of stuff. But the one metric that they don't have a measurement for is what's in here and your level of intellect. And people will say, oh, you know, we could take the Wonderlic. The Wonderlic test doesn't tell you anything. I know guys who have completely flunked the Wonderlic test. You get them on the football field, and they're total football savants. You know,
how'd you do in the Wonderlic? You do all right?
I didn't go to the combine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they totally dropped the ball on me. You kidding me?
Yeah, they did.
No bowl games, no combine, no nothing. They drafted
17th round?
18.
Oh,
18. Yeah. He said 18.
No,
the eighth round.
I said 17.
Hey, so
He goes
let me-
18.
You said 18th. He set you up.
I was just being facetious.
Oh.
Think about it. Okay, the year I got drafted on the Eagles, they drafted 3 other linebackers in front of me. 2nd round, 3rd round, 5th round. Then they drafted me in the 8th round. 2 years later, they were all gone and I was starting. You think they dropped the damn ball?
Yeah, they dropped the damn ball on you. Yeah. You might be the biggest example dropping the damn ball.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.